So I think it's a relationship. Inner guidance is always there for every single person. I don't care who you are or how old you are or where you come from. We all have it. But the key piece is learning through experience to listen and to allow yourself to be guided by it, right?
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Well, welcome. Good day,
Welcome.
Deb, dear Deb. Good day, good afternoon, good morning.
I know, it does get like that. Where are we? Morning, afternoon, evening. Hello.
How are you doing, my dear?
I'm great. I love so just for the listeners, we've already had an hour and then we're like, just the usual, chat. Actually, It's been over an hour and then we're like, oh, what are we doing today? Hang on, what are we talking about? So yeah, I'm great after our unpacking of world
What's
things.
going on.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm great. Definitely.
Which is awesome because so we still like to do that check-in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And rate ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. So 10 is being like, oh my God, I need so many tools, help, issues, let go of. And 0 is like, I'm totally zen, at one with everything, in a totally neutral space.
Completely.
Where would you put yourself, my dear?
Well, prior to our hour and a bit chat, I probably would have said I was down below the 5s, between the 5s and the 10s. So, but right now I'm possibly a 3. Like I just feel, 3. I'm going to say 3. Neutral, really neutral to a lot of things.
Good. Yeah, 3.
Definitely don't want to say a 0 or a 1 or a 2. There's going to be room for improvement.
There's always room for something, right?
But
I like 3. I
Mm.
think 3 is an excellent number. I'm going to put myself at 3 too. So,
okay.
And then we'll check in
and I'm going to write
end.
it down too, because I keep forgetting at the end. I'm like, where was I last time? Okay, so I've written 3 down on my piece of paper.
Very good. So welcome, dear listeners. Here we are for another deliciously motivating conversation. And today we're going to talk about something that I absolutely love talking about. And I hope Deb does too.
The standard thing, I'm going to go, oh, this is a goodie.
I know. It's like, oh, this is good. This is going to be the best one. Of course, the best one yet. So no, we're going to talk about how to recognize or how to feel into your inner guidance and operate by it. So it's one thing. To me, actually, it's almost like 2 areas that we can talk about here. One is accessing your inner guidance. Number 2 is trusting it and following it.
How are we going to do that in one podcast? Come on, Moira, for goodness sake.
Well,
we talk about this. Okay, righto. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that wasn't what we talked about before I hit record here, but that's what happened. That's what happened when it came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But you know why I think that the 2 kind of go hand in hand is that. So for me, I've always been the type of person that is very aware of my inner guidance. I haven't always followed it though. And I know a lot of times I'll have conversations with clients where they'll tell me situations or things that have happened and they'll say, I knew it was going to happen that way. or I knew that was going to happen and I didn't choose the way that my inner guidance already said, go this way. So we kind of second guess ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, we do.
We do.
I was my inner guidance. I knew it was there always, but it wasn't something that I was taught or educated on, that I'm consciously aware in my family, in my schooling. It was more, I know this is a loose thing, you're going to get burned at the stake if you listen to this type thing, going back to that. That's the thought as I just think about it. Yep. Clearly not. I'm not going to get burned at the stake, but that's that whole, if you listen to your inner guidance, you're going to, you're definitely not out of the family, but you're out on a realm of your own. You're on your own platform, walking the plank.
You're not dismissed. You're the black sheep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I knew it was there, but it was in my mind, and I put my fingers up and say it was wrong, wrong to use. It's not how we do things.
No, and to your point, I completely agree with you. It's not something we get taught, and it's not something we get mentored into about carving time out for ourselves to just go quiet and listen to that still voice within you. Now, for me, I do have the extra bonus in that I was brought up as a Quaker. And as Quakers, that is what we were taught. But then I'm also taught by mainstream education system and at home, so it's one thing that once a week we did get to sit in quiet contemplation. And to me, that was me accessing the voice of God or the source or connecting to all that is, gave me so much support. But then that thing about inner guidance, where my inner guidance might be saying wait or slow down, and my father saying no, hurry up and get this done, go and do this, look after this. And so like to your point, that you get conditioned to, okay, I intuitively knew that this is what I needed to do or what was the best choice, but then my father said this and so I had to do that. Right.
Well, that's our mentors in life, as if I label parents, mentors, teachers, our mentors in life telling you what you should be doing. And when you're 4 or 5, you know no different. You just listen and you do until you start going,
wait a minute.
Hang on. I don't want to stay at home. I want to go and wander, or
have conversations outside of this little bubble.
Yes. Educate.
Do you know something else that just landed for me too, though? Is that I think intrinsically we can only learn by doing, by experiencing, by having having a situation go the way it was going to go. Whereas a lot of us were brought up with the mentality of nonsense, you don't have to go and make that choice or learn that situation or that lesson that way. Just sit down and I'll tell you how it's going to be.
Yes. Actually, yes, because that's a firm one that I see when I talk to and consult with parents and also children nowadays, is around that whole, let me just tell you what's going to happen if you're going to do this.
Yeah. And that is one of the biggest stifling energies of listening to your inner guidance. Because, don't know about you, but I now, after over 50 years in this life, I'm the boss of me. Nobody gets to tell me how my experience is going to be other than me. But it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah, that's the difference between, and I call it textbook learning or life lesson learning. Yeah. And textbook learning, we learn, yes. And sometimes, reading a textbook, a 1,000-page textbook, we can take 5 things from it. But life lesson learning, you remember it.
Yep.
You store that memory forever, whether positive or negative, and you hold on to that, and that's what you pull out to give those to allow you to make the next decision if you're going to do this or not. And I would rather take life lesson learning because I remember it more and I can learn more from textbook. Textbook's there to not warn you, but to awaken you to see. I know with my daughter, I'm a single mum and she's nearly 20, and I say to her things like, well, if you do this way, because she knows there's consequences in everything, action or inaction you do, or consequence. I use the word consequence, which is possibly not the best word to use, but there's actions or inactions. If you do this, what could happen to you? Yeah. If you don't do this, what could happen to you? Just be aware of those without me saying, don't, it's the old saying, don't run out on the road, you're going to get hit by a truck. Well, there's only one truck that comes every once a week. So really, today's Tuesday. Tuesday's not the truck day. But your parents or somebody says, don't run out on the road, you're going to get hit by a truck. Well, sometimes you don't. And then you're like, well, actually, no, the road's a safe place because you say that and it's not true, Mum.
That's right.
So what makes,
I can look.
Yeah, and then when you're 50, you get hit by a truck. And you're like, okay, well, I didn't believe my mum for that long. Yeah, but it is those consequences so it's about me saying to her, if you did that, what could happen? And I guess that could be also the same thing, when you're working with someone, so I'm just thinking of my PA, if I say to her, I'd like this done. So I know how I would do it in a certain amount of time. But if I tell them how to do it my way, then they're not learning. They're not, they're basically just doing it Deborah's way. So they're not going to learn from it. They may not enjoy it, but they're also not being creative enough to find their own way that could be a quicker, more efficient, more effective solution that's going to give me a greater reward down the track.
No, absolutely. And in that scenario, sometimes the job won't get done if they're doing it just because I have to do these steps that Deborah did.
That's
Whereas then they're doing it to prove something to you rather than get the job done, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that inner guidance, that's everywhere. I was just thinking about my daughter and I was thinking about my PA and I was thinking about those things, and that's every moment of every day is that textbook lesson or that life lesson. And how to recognize it and how to leverage from it, utilize it, use it.
Absolutely. But do you know something that just popped into my inner guidance? Is that, there's been a number of things that have happened in my life where I have learned through life experience first. And then I go and do some textbook learning.
Oh, they're the fun ones.
Those are so much fun. Back when I was still living in Scotland, I was in a business degree course. And I was a mature student there because everybody else were like just straight out of school. And I was doing this from my work. I loved it. And it was so fun. It was looking at all these kids like just, is this over yet? I don't want to be here. And I'm like, I'm learning the structure of organizations and thinking this is great because by that point I had worked in so many organizations. I had context, right? And so I think my own inner guidance realized, or this is a Moira-ism, that I learned so much better when I've had the context first. Mm-hmm. Because just yesterday, I'm working on a course right now. I'm always studying. That's just the
Yay!
part of what I do. But so here's what I'm doing is I'm doing a pretty high level course, and I am 7 modules into it. Guess what I've been getting for every assessment so far? 100%.
I was going to say, you'd be 100% girl.
And it's 100% all the way through. And actually, it's kind of making me giggle because it's like, yep, I did know that. But you see, it's because I'm learning about...
I did know that. Yeah, I did know that.
Exactly.
And that's the key there.
Exactly. Whereas I doubt very much Had I not had the experience and the opening up to my own guidance first, it'd be a very different story. Studying this body of work. So I think it's a relationship. Inner guidance is always there for every single person. I don't care who you are or how old you are or where you come from. We all have it. But the key piece is learning through experience to listen and to allow yourself to be guided by it, right?
Yeah. Listen to it, take it on board, or not. But
or
know,
not. Yeah, you can choose.
But know that there's let's find another word for consequence. But there's a consequence either way.
It's just an outcome. Outcome's more neutral. There.
Outcome. Yeah, there's an outcome. So there's a consequence just sounds like there's a consequence in this.
There's a bit of a dread energy in there.
I know. Say outcome, consequence. Okay, so knowing that there's an outcome with whatever, if you swipe left or swipe right with that inner guidance.
Do you know, that just reminds me, and I think we may have actually had this conversation on a previous episode, and if we haven't, then we'll maybe need to do another one. But you know, when I'm thinking of masculine and feminine. So masculine gets up and does something. That's the energy is doing. It's action based. Whereas feminine is much more feeling into it. And what do you want to feel? So with masculine creation or masculine doing things, there's right and wrong. You either did it, you didn't. With feminine creation, there is never a right or wrong. You either went towards what you wanted to create or away from it. And you can use them in context of what do you want. So sometimes we may want to, on some level, go away from the feeling that we say we initially want to create. So if somebody wants to create a harmonious home, they may feel like they want to be outside of that for a while to get context as to what is a harmonious home. But they're still following their inner guidance.
And other people's perception of that harmonious home can be worlds apart from yours.
Absolutely. And that's the other key piece about inner guidance is your inner guidance isn't here to please other people. It's to be followed by you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just thinking about my little inner guidance where I've avoided it. And it's come back and it's smacked me on the bum. As you say that. And I'm going, oh, listen to that person because that's their inner guidance. Yeah, they know more than me. I'm just sitting there going, And listeners, I'd like you to do the same. Yeah.
But here's the thing. So, because that's a conversation I have often with people is when I just said that, no matter who you are, you have access to inner guidance. So many people won't believe that. Maybe our listeners are looking at their phones or whatever you're listening to this on saying, no, I don't have inner guidance.
Wow.
But do you actually create space and time to get it?
See, when you just said that then, and I wanted people just to listen to that, but I just have to interrupt. That's really sad. I feel for people who don't think they have an inner guidance. Like I feel like that must be, well, I guess if you don't know, if you never had chocolate and then suddenly you have chocolate.
Yeah.
I guess that, but that's a rough one.
It is, but it's, you see, to me, that comes from feeling like you everybody else is more wise than you or know better than you. That's what I think. That's what brought that about. You saying about they know better than I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get conditioned to believe that, and that becomes their story. Is there's no point in me trying to access my inner wisdom because everybody else can do it, or those people outside of me can do it. It's just not for me.
So I might as well just let them continue running my life.
Yeah,
That's
telling
what
me
you're
what to
saying.
do, who I am, who do I have to show up as?
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
When I say that sad of not knowing your inner guidance, that was me as a child. That was me as you didn't know you had it. You didn't know, and also you didn't know what to label it as, what to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Your inner guidance, when you know. Yep. That's it. You know. Then you pick and choose whether you're going to speak up or follow through, like swipe left, swipe right, whether you're actually going to do something about it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the thing, is people make that decision thinking they're going for the best outcome at the time, mm-hmm. which is what we do, which can chip away at little bits of our soul if we take that decision. I'm just thinking with your inner guidance, when we make that decision, I basically just want to say, when you make the decision and you perceive it, and I'm putting my fingers up, what do you call this when you put your fingers up?
Air quotes.
Quotations. Air quotes. Yeah. Just going to say, instead of saying I'm putting my fingers up, so, I think,
not
the
like
other
that.
One, yeah, air quotes is Deborah's accent. Air quotes. When I put my fingers up to my air quotes of my inner guidance, that we make our decision, that you let it go, that decision for you at that moment at 2:00 on a Monday is the best decision you can make at that moment.
Yeah.
Now, 2:10, it might be a different decision, but you've already made the best decision at that time. So let that guilt go, that shame, that, oh, I should have done this, or I should have said that. How many times do we walk away from a conversation or an argument and we go, I should have said that, I should have done that.
Yeah.
But at that moment, we've done the best decision we can possibly do and said our piece that we can possibly say. Down the track, there might be more, but at that moment, that's the best thing we can possibly do.
Absolutely.
And so knowing that's it, and not going, oh, I should have said that, I should have done that. Well, you didn't. So let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And I know you and I have talked about the 4 agreements before.
Oh, yes, I love those. I've printed those out now. I've printed those out, and they're in my office, and I've told so many people about them, and they're like, yes, and that's what I'd love to live by. And quite a few people said, yeah, Deborah, this is you, the 4 agreements. You live by this. You walk and talk and do that.
But you see, the thing about what made me think of that is that
maybe just say what the 4 agreements are.
The first one is, so be impeccable with your word. So say what you mean. So being impeccable with your word is speaking with integrity out of your mouth, but also internally too. Next one is not to take anything personally. It's not all about you.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
That one is a hard one. Yeah, because we want people to accept us, and if we're not being acceptable, then we think it's all about us.
Yeah.
The third one is to not make assumptions, and that's a big one for lots of people. I think we all do that. It's like, well, if this happened, then this is going to happen.
Yeah. And that's not your inner guidance.
No, it's not. That's you in your head.
Assumptions. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Assumptions really come from your head, and you're making up stories.
Yeah.
But it's the fourth one that I really wanted to pick up on, is that always do your best. So in what you just said, Deb, about the person who makes a decision or commits to doing something and then, give them a couple of hours. Oh man, I should have done it this way. I should have said that. I should have said. That's not accepting that in that moment when you first did it, you did your best based on what your energy was, what the energy in the situation. It's fine. That situation is now gone. And so I see people do this so much, and I find it really quite heartbreaking when people beat themselves up for something they did or did not do, say yesterday, a couple of years ago, 10 years ago. And so something that I encourage people to do is to look at that, because I ask them, what right do you have to go back to a previous version of you and beat yourself up? Because you know now stuff that you never knew back then. So that's a big form of betrayal, I find. But then it doesn't mean that you weren't following your inner guidance either. It's just
you're a different person then.
You're a different person. It landed in a different way. You know, your energy is different. Maybe you wanted to experience something in a completely different way, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. That's what life is supposed to be, is experiencing it, feeling it. Who do you get to become through it? Rather than
feeling it and breathing it through your core, through all of you, all of you.
Yep. 100%. But with a place or with a, because I said at the beginning of our conversation here about the inner guidance and trusting it. So when we really lean into trusting it, we know that we don't have to worry about stuff or figure things out in our head, because the more we access our inner guidance, and Deb, you know this about me, I'm a big person that puts my hand over my heart. This is me accessing my inner guidance, because I know and trust that my heart is going to lead me, not my head. My head's going to go, oh, but what about this? What about that? And oh, if you get it wrong, then that's thinking processes, and that is not us accessing inner guidance.
Which is I was just going to say the male brain, the more masculine brain over the feminine brain. And since meeting you, Moira, I put my hand on my heart often, quite often, more than I ever have, I think.
Good.
And just take that moment to breathe and just, what's the best decision, and just feel it.
Yeah.
So how do you, and I thank you for that. So how do you recognize your inner guidance? Because we've clearly said we have it.
Yes.
I know I have it. You know you have it. We know every person has it. So how do you recognize it within yourself? Because it's actually not about, it's not about us saying to our children, why are you not listening to your inner guidance, or whatever you want to call it? Why are you not listening to that? So how do you recognize it? Because it's a knowing.
It is a knowing, but here's the piece about it, is it is always love-based.
Yeah.
Always. And you can feel that. So let's say that the answer is go left instead of right, but you are really hell-bent on, I really wanted it to be right. I wanted to turn right. And your inner guidance says left is better, or left is the option that's right in this moment. Then you're going to know. Your inner knowing there will be a warmth in your heart, maybe. There will be a diffusing of that mental chatter, because it's like it's a drop into your core moment, that it's like, okay. But that prattling that thinks it's trying to keep you safe, it's not going to do that. So that's where I'm coming from when I say your inner guidance is always love-based, and you can find comfort in it. It also does not chatter. Do you know what I mean? So when I talk about chatter, I mean about the mental chatter, the ruminations, the monkey mind. None of that is inner guidance.
It's a grounding.
Yes.
it's a yeah, it feels right until your mind goes, I'm just going to question this, or I'm going to do this.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
There was I can't remember what body of work I was studying, but the insight was that when we ask our inner guidance for an answer or for guidance, it answers immediately. We have to train ourselves to be so present that we get it immediately, because a lot of times if we are not present to it, what actually the option we take is what our monkey mind just went and said, no, it's this one. So you might say your guidance comes up and says, pick this. And if you're not present, your mind is gone, no, this one's better. And off you go. And you may think, but watch that. And here's me doing air quotes now.
I like the actual wording, air quotes. It's so much better than going, put my fingers in the air.
But we may think that we've got the first impression, but it's actually our mind kicked in to try and keep us safe. That's what all that the monkey mind chatter is. It's working on its own patterns, its own circuits, thinking it has to keep us safe. But our heart energy, our inner guidance energy just says, I've got this. It's good.
And knowing.
Yeah. So we may not be able to tell you how the outcome right in this moment, but I know it's going to be good. It's going to be the right thing for me, right?
It's going to serve you at that time.
Mm-hmm. So inner guidance is sort of woven in your intuition. So that's the other part. When you say that you check in with your inner guidance for like a business decision, where do you feel that in your body?
Well, it's in your core. Well, for me, it's a feeling. It's within me. I just know, and I know when I know. When you know, and then you sometimes just go, oh, but last time I did this is what came back and bit me in the bum. Or last time I did, and that's not your inner guidance. That's your mind going, are you sure? Questioning you. But your first thought is there. Your first thought is your inner guidance. And then other people go, are you sure you want to do that again? And then you start taking on other people's stuff, or I remember reading a book about that, or I remember doing that. And then you start questioning. That's not your inner guidance. That's your memories, your stored memories coming back to haunt you, coming back to question you. But that's your inner guidance, your very first, I would say your very first thought.
Yeah.
Your very first.
And I like that you brought that into this conversation, because what you just said reminded me of, the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that, I love that book, actually. I've read it a number of times. I have it on audiobook and listen to it every so often. But so there's 13 principles for this idea of Think and Grow Rich. And there's a couple that I really, really love, but the one that came to mind as you were just saying that is, he talks about when we have a goal or aspiration or a dream, something that we want to create, be very careful who you tell that out loud to. Because if you tell it to somebody who doesn't see the world like you do, or who doesn't believe, let's say I have a goal of creating something magical.
Mm-hmm.
I do all that time.
I was going to say, you do. Let's just make, for example, air quotation. Yes, okay, but you do. Yes.
That's how I roll. But if I know that there are people who are around me that don't believe in the law of attraction, for instance, or don't get that everything you think creates a reality, because there are people like that. So I am not going to share my dreams or my aspirations to them, because I'm actually setting myself up for failure. Because who are you to do that? Well, that doesn't make any sense to me. People in our family or in this group just never do stuff like that. Right there, you've lost before you even took the first step toward what it was you're creating. So all that to say is that your inner guidance already knows, where do I feel comfortable and good at sharing what my truth is, what my desires are, what my hopes and aspirations are. Only share them there. That's not to say that you are pretending that everything's unicorns and lollipops and roses, because there is struggle and there is negativity in this world, but you don't bring it into yourself.
You don't have to buy into that drama.
And so that was the Napoleon Hill's piece, was to just hold your desires close to you and only share them with people that you know are supportive of what it is you're looking to create. So I think that that's the same with inner guidance. So if I get an intuitive hit, if my inner guidance says, go and contact that group or go and pitch this idea, I'm only going to talk about that to people that I know can support or hear it.
Yeah. And I think that's it, because we resonate with people who are on path with us, and we vibrate away from people who debunk our beliefs or I was going to say belittle, but who challenge us on things. But also being aware that you can't change everybody, but those people who debunk your thoughts or rebel against you or anything are there to make you, don't run from them, but thank them, because they're the ones who make you get really freaking clear on where you're going and what you're doing. When someone goes, well, have you thought about that? Have you thought about that? And you may not have thought about that. And you're like, oh, go away, you're just being a pain. But in reality, they're actually making you get a lot sharper and clearer about your vision and what you'd like to put out there. And making that decision, you become more certain. Or you take on their stuff and go, actually, yeah, you're right, I can't do this. But they're the ones who actually give you that fuel for that fire, that flame that drives you more, as those ones who go, no, I don't think you can do that.
And I agree with you, but the caveat to that would be to only share it when you feel like you've got a steady foundation under your feet.
I've got this idea. What do you think?
Nah. What about this? What about this? Yeah, this way. The reason I was saying that is that I like what you said about that. Conceivably, they could point out things that you hadn't thought about, but that would be good when you've got like the framework to then say, yes, I'm going to tweak this, or does this fit? Does it suit? Because everybody's going to have an opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't need to address all of them. And so we can take a project to a space where it's like, okay, I'd really like some creative feedback now, or I'd like to hear how this resonates or doesn't. And then we can do sort of course correct or not. We might say, no, I'm pretty committed to how this is myself. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about the media articles, where they write for newspapers or, in that media article, and you can read it and come up with something very different, and I can read it and come up with something very different. Even though our minds are 80% similar,
yes,
you can still read black and I can read white, and then there's others who can read grey. But when, and we just filter through what sits right in our soul from our past experiences, and we learn from that. But we call upon our inner guidance rather than our mental capacity.
Absolutely. That's very well said. And it is to just keep coming back and saying thank you to the mental capacity. Yeah, thank you, but I'm going to tell you what to do, because my guidance
you're going to do what my inner guidance says now.
Exactly. It's the guidance is the navigator of the ship through life, right?
Mm. Well, you are the what? I've got a saying. I can't remember. You're the captain of your own ship.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's something. It's on my
Or the
Skype.
driver of your own bus.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. This been a good conversation, my dear.
Oh, fancy that.
Good answer.
Yay!
Fancy that.
Oh my gosh, you're going to ask me to rate myself. Where am I sitting?
Yeah.
Where am I sitting? Well, where are you sitting? I'm going to say, yeah, I feel more complete. I feel like I want to say a 1, but I did at the very start, so I don't even want to say I'm a 0 or a 1. But that's me. That's me saying, you know. I feel my inner guidance is saying you're feeling like you're at a 1. I'm pretty neutral.
Good for you.
Pretty neutral.
Good for you.
Pretty neutral. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'm there too. I was going to say I'm actually at a 0.5.
Yeah, okay, we can both say we're at a 0.5.
Yeah, we'll be at a 0.5.
Yeah.
So listeners, we hope that this has helped you get a sense of inner guidance. Do you access your inner guidance? Let us know. We'd love to hear what you think about inner guidance, and does it serve you? Do you access it? Do you?
Oh, and let us know let us know where it's bit you in the bum.
Yeah, where you haven't followed it. Damn it, I should have done that.
Share those biting in the bum ones, please. Because that's lessons for everybody as well.
Absolutely,
when you hear that.
Good point. Very good point. Yes, very, very true. We get to recognize in other stories of where we learn.
Textbook learning. Yeah,
absolutely.
Until we bring it back. Yeah. Thank you, Moira. Thank you, listeners. I really appreciate today. This has been a super cool one. I say that every time, but no, today I just feel different.
We always mean it. Remember, this is new unit time. I always mean it. Yeah. This has been an awesome conversation. Yeah. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, dear listeners. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.